God can always hear you. Even if you don't pray to him, he can still always hear you. You know, there's a lot of stories I want to tell that relate to this topic. But if I did that, we'd have like an hour-long video, maybe a 2-hour-long video, and I don't have that amount of time. So I'll try to keep this short. So I don't think I've shared this story before. And if I have on YouTube, okay, you obviously know this. But some of you probably don't, so hear me out. When I was a kid, I loved the show The Honeymooners. I wanted to be like Jackie Gleason when I was 5 years old. Loved that show. I think it's one of the funniest sitcoms of all time. If you haven't seen this show, what are you waiting for? I mean, guys, it's the funniest show ever. It's only 39 episodes, but it's so good. Now, they did an episode where they get a dog. And I remember watching this episode as a kid and looking at this dog that they got. And this is the cutest dog you've ever seen. I mean, I'm not kidding. Like, I don't know where they found this puppy, but it's adorable. And so, as I'm watching this episode as a kid, I started to think about it, and I realized, you know, this episode aired in 1956. I mean, this episode is now 70 years old. At the time, it was probably somewhere in its 50s, but I remember watching it and thinking, you know, this dog is most likely dead at this point. And I just started feeling awful about that this dog wasn't alive anymore. And then, years later, my sister is talking to people, and circumstances prevailed where my family ended up getting a dog. I did not want a dog. My mom did not want a dog. My dad and my sister did. They went out to get a dog. They come home. I go downstairs. And what kind of dog did they get? The exact same kind that was in that episode. I wasn't upset that I didn't have a dog. I was upset that that dog had passed. But that's not a coincidence. It says in Revelation that God is the Alpha and the Omega. God is the beginning and the end. God knows everything that's going to happen. So that means God knows us, because God created us. So, but I didn't pray for that. But God still blessed me with that. And we've had that dog for 16 years now. She's 16. She still looks like a puppy. You've probably seen her in some of the YouTube videos over the years. And, you know, it's just one of those times in my life where I've realized, wow, God heard me. Even though I wasn't really having a conversation with him or praying to him about it or doing anything, he still heard me. I wonder if there are any times in your life where a situation like that has happened, where you didn't pray to God, but something happened down the line that takes you back to that first moment. And you realize, oh, I didn't do that on my own. There's no way. No, that was God. But it's a good reminder. So, the point I'm trying to make here today is that God can always hear us. Jesus tells us that we have to seek the kingdom of God first, and all these things shall be added unto you. Now, there are so many things that we want. We want to lose weight. We want to get a better job. We need more money. We need a different house. We need a new lifestyle. We need this. We need that. So many things that we want to have. There's a difference between needing and wanting. Let's just say we want these things. But we don't quite know how to do it. You know? And the particular example I'm thinking of is, and I've done this too, how many of us have ever made New Year's resolutions where we always say, okay, we're going to get in shape, we're going to go to the gym, we're going to lose weight, and then after about a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sometimes even a month, we fall short of that, and we go right back into our old patterns. It happens. It's happened to me countless times. Do you know why that keeps happening? Because if you've ever done that, and you have fallen short of that, you forgot to do one thing. And I'm guilty of this too. We forgot to ask God about it. We weren't putting God first in that. We went into that thinking that we could take care of that on our own. And we can't do anything on our own. That's impossible. What did Jesus say? With man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. We can't do anything without him. You know, I read that if you take a tree out of the soil, it eventually dies. If you take a fish out of water, it eventually dies. If you take God out of man, man will die spiritually. Right? We were made to honor God, and God is a part of us. I don't care what they do in this world to try to suppress God. That is so foolish to do that. Literally and spiritually, that is foolish. So, let's get back to that losing weight thing I was talking about. This is something I've been struggling with for a long, long time. And I'm sure many other people have as well. We need to discuss a few things about this. First of all, let's talk about why we're eating so much, or why we want to lose weight in the first place. Well, it usually means we're overweight, we're obese, it's a comfy lifestyle, eating the wrong foods, but it doesn't lead to anything good. It doesn't. All it does is drive us into an early death through disease and basically a lot of stuff that could be avoided. And it also doesn't give us a lot of confidence, because we really don't have a lot of confidence in ourselves to begin with, because why else are we doing this? Because if we had confidence in ourselves and confidence in the Lord, we probably wouldn't be living a life of gluttony. And by the way, guys, gluttony isn't just subjected to food. It's subjected to anything that you're overtaking in. It could be the gym, believe it or not. Some people are addicted to going to the gym 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. I'm not saying that's unhealthy, but if it's becoming an addiction, that's not a good thing. But let's stick to the treadmill thing first, losing weight. So here's the one thing we have to remember. You want to know how to lose weight? If you want to, and the choice is up to you. If you want to, you have to get rid of that mindset of, I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want to lose 30, 60, 70 pounds. I want to lose this amount of weight. I want to lose this amount of weight by the time the summer comes around, because I want to look good when I go to the beach. I want to be able to swim in the ocean and not wear a t-shirt. I want to be able to look good in front of my friends, family members. I'm tired of being obese. Okay, yes. Yeah, those things, yeah, I know you guys probably want those things, but what you're overlooking is how to get there. That's the part we don't know. We just know what we want, but we don't know how to get there. And when we try to go on that journey of getting there, we usually fall short, because we realize, oh, this is a lot harder than I thought. Yeah, it's supposed to be. But it's just like any process. Nobody said this was going to be easy. You know? So get this whole idea of producing results out of your mind. It is not our job to produce results. Our job is to look to Jesus, and Jesus will give us the results. That's how this works. And I understand that people like to count calories and they like to count carbs and all that. And everybody's got a certain diet that works for you, and that's fine. But when you do this, if this message is for you, take heart at knowing that all we have is today, because we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring us, and we're not going to be able to lose weight in a day. So let's start off small. Let's start by acknowledging our Father in heaven, who blessed us with his Son to save us from sin. And let's focus on him in every single thing that we do. If you wake up in the morning and the first thing you want to do is start eating, and if it's the wrong foods, stop yourself for a second. Before you start eating that, stop yourself and say, okay, I know this is bad for me. What I'm eating is bad for me. This isn't good. It tastes good, yes, but I know it's bad for me. Well, what did I say about the flesh and the spirit, you guys? Is this thing feeding your flesh, or is it feeding your spirit? Because if it's feeding your flesh, you might want to slow down on that, or cut it off completely, depending on what it is. Because why do we eat this food? Why do we eat this bad food? Well, it tastes really good. That's a flesh thing, you guys. Because your spirit is telling you, well, it tastes good, but I know it's not good for me. Go with the side, I know it's not good for me, and put it away. And once you put it away, you realize, oh my gosh, I did that. I can't believe I did that. That's amazing. I never thought I could do that. You see, that's how it starts. And then from that point, you'd be amazed at what else Jesus can do, because right there, in doing that and putting that food away in that moment, you realize, wow, like if I wasn't putting Jesus first in that moment, I wouldn't have put that food away. I would have just eaten it. Exactly. Everything you do, put Jesus first, because there is meaning in him. And everything we do in life is meaningless unless we put Jesus first. If we put Jesus first in everything we do, then it has meaning, because the meaning comes from him. It doesn't come from us. We're broken. We are broken beyond compare. We can't fix ourselves. We can't. Only Jesus can. You want to know how people lose weight? Jesus helped them. I don't quite know how to explain that, but I know that they couldn't have done it on their own. It's no different than alcohol. No alcoholic stopped drinking just because they could do it on their own. That's impossible. Now, I told you how to start the process. Let's talk about why we are in gluttony to begin with. Well, where did it start? We weren't always heavy at one point. We weren't always obese. We didn't always have these bad habits. Where did this bad habit come from? Where did it stem from? Where did it start? Because in order to get better, we have to address the problem. And it's not just with overeating. It's with anything. This is with anything. Any kind of addiction that we have. We have to look inside of ourselves, and you can pray about this too. Jesus is going to show us in time. We might know what it is and we don't want to face it, or we probably forgot what it is and we don't know where the problem stems from. And this is why I always say therapy is good, because your therapist could probably help you get to the root of the problem, because you might not know what it is. Sometimes I don't even know what it is, because I've had problems like that too. And some of these issues I do know where they started. I'm not going to talk about them here, but yeah, like I always say. Now, sometimes we know where this addiction started or what led to this addiction, but we don't want to revisit that. That's probably why we're burying it with this addiction, because it's too painful to face it. And we are afraid. Who loves to use fear as a weapon? The devil. The devil wants you to stay in these addictions, you guys. He doesn't want you to break free of these addictions. He wants to chain you down and keep you like this so you do not have a fruitful life. The fruitful life that God wants to give you. But he can't give it to you if you're living a life like this. You're miserable. You're miserable living your life like this, in that way. And God doesn't want you to live like that. I'm going to go this way. Okay. Once you find the cause of the addiction that you are in, I know it's going to be scary to face that, because you might not want to face it, because it was so painful and so heartbreaking, and it completely it could have traumatized you, whatever it is. But one day you're going to have to face it. You cannot hide from that forever. You cannot run from that forever. One day you're going to have to face it. So you might as well start facing it now, because once you do, you're going to start going through a healing process like you wouldn't believe. And you know what? As painful as it is to address this issue that you've buried deep down inside of you, once you address this issue and you start healing, and you decide internally that you want to keep healing, the addiction is going to fade. And you will be liberated out of that bondage, because you acknowledged where this started. Because you're basically acknowledging what caused this addiction, and you're telling Jesus, and you're telling the demons that did this to you, I don't need this anymore. I don't need this anymore. Not for the rest of my life, but only for today, one day at a time. Because this is all we got. Jesus even says, I don't want you to worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow has enough problems. Can being anxious add a single day to your life? No, it can't. All we have is today. So make the decision today that I have a problem, no matter what it is. I need help. I need to reach out to somebody, someone I can trust. And look, it can be hard, and I understand. Trusting is a hard thing to do with some people, depending on what the situation is. But here's the best part. Even though you might be afraid to address this issue, God knows exactly what the issue is. He knows what it is. He's just waiting for you to come out and acknowledge it, because he wants to heal you. He just can't do it unless you acknowledge it, because you're the one with the free will. It's up to you. This is how loving and good God is. God, the creator of the infinite universe, gave us the free will to choose him or not. Think about how loving that is. Really think about that. God is so good that he would allow our enemies to do the things that they want to do to us. But God overcame all of that anyway. As soon as Jesus died on the cross, death was overturned. So basically, We're about 20 minutes in. So, point I'm trying to make here is that God always hears you. God knows what you're going through. You don't have to tell the world what you're going through. The world doesn't have to know, but God knows. Go to him in prayer. Ask him, how can I be freed from this bondage? And in the meantime, God is going to start sending you resources. The first resource is going to be his son. And then you're going to go from there. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. It could take months. It could take a couple of years. Who knows? I don't know what it is that you're going through. But whatever it is, there is freedom after that. There is. You can be liberated from this. You don't have to live your life the way you've been living it. You don't have to live it in bondage. You don't have to live it with this addiction. You can be freed from this. Okay? We are already freed by the power of Jesus Christ from spiritual death. And we are not deserving of that. But because God is so good, he did it anyway. I can't think of anything bigger than that. So this little thing that you're dealing with that may seem so big, just go to God with it in prayer. And in time, you will be healed. But don't focus on the goal that you want to get to. Don't focus on the result you want to produce. Focus on God. And then as you focus on God, God will then produce the results. And you're going to see the results and you're going to realize, whoa, how did that happen? I didn't know that I could. There's no way I did that. And that's God showing himself to you. Because the best thing about it is that once you realize who Jesus is, you're going to not only know what he can do, but you're also going to know who he is. And that's part of having a relationship with him. All right, everybody. This has been a great week. We're 7 days in. We got a few more weeks to go. God always hears you. Praise Jesus Christ. Have a blessed day, everybody.